There's a shift that happens when you finally stop chasing, when you no longer beg to be seen, heard, or chosen, when your worth is no longer tied to how many people approve of you, desire you, or praise you. That shift is called detachment, and it's one of the most powerful transformations a person can undergo. But detachment is often misunderstood. People think it means being cold, emotionless, or indifferent. But real detachment isn't about closing your heart. It's about learning how to protect it. It's about knowing that your peace, your power, and your self-respect don't belong in anyone else's hands. And once you truly learn how to detach, you become unattainable in the best possible way. Not because you're above others, but because you've finally stopped lowering yourself to be accessible to those who never deserved your access in the first place. Let's get one thing straight. Detachment doesn't mean not caring. It means caring about yourself enough to walk away from anything that costs you your peace. It means releasing the need to control outcomes to prove your worth, or to convince someone of your value. When you're truly detached, you don't chase people. You observe. You don't react. You respond. You don't cling. You choose. And the moment you stop operating from fear, desperation, or lack, that's when you become powerful. Because now you're not needing validation. You're radiating self-certainty. You're not hungry for attention. You're fed by your own inner world. That's what makes you unattainable. It's not about playing hard to get. It's about actually being hard to disturb in a world where everyone's scrambling for attention. Liking, posting, performing. Detachment is rebellion. When you pull back your energy from people who drained it, from spaces that didn't value it, from patterns that kept you small, you disrupt everything. Suddenly, the ones who expected your loyalty without earning it are left confused. The ones who fed off your emotional reactions are starving because silence is powerful. Indifference is terrifying to those who relied on your emotional chaos, and the absence of your energy becomes louder than your presence ever was. But this kind of detachment doesn't happen overnight. It starts with pain, with betrayal, with disappointment. So deep, it forces you to see clearly. You realize that you can't control how others show up, but you can control what you tolerate. You can't force someone to love you the way you need, but you can stop accepting half-love in the name of potential. That's the beginning of detachment, when the pain of holding on becomes greater than the fear of letting go. And when you do let go, when you finally detach, you start to see the truth. You see how much energy you were giving to people who only took you. See how often you abandoned your own needs just to keep the peace. You see how you were chasing closure from people who didn't even have the emotional maturity to offer honesty. And you stop. You stop explaining yourself. You stop trying to be understood by people committed to misunderstanding you. You stop engaging in arguments that go nowhere. You stop apologizing for taking up space. This version of you doesn't overextend. This version of you doesn't beg for clarity. This version of you chooses self-respect over temporary comfort, and this version of you unattainable. Not because you're unavailable, but because you're no longer easily shaken. You no longer place your emotional well-being in someone else's hands. You don't need to be liked to feel valuable. You don't need to be chosen to feel whole. Your power comes from within, and that makes you magnetic. People can feel it. The ones who used to manipulate you with silence, guilt, or inconsistency. They feel your shift. The ones who thought you'd always be available, always be forgiving, always be the bigger person. They don't know what to do with your new boundaries. Your detachment forces people to confront themselves. It forces them to see what they lost when they lost your access. And some will try to pull you back in, not because they've changed, but because they miss the version of you that tolerated their behavior. That version no longer exists. But let's talk about what it really means to become unattainable. It's not about playing games. It's not about manipulation or withholding affection. It's about becoming so deeply rooted in your self-worth that nothing outside of you can shake it. It means walking away from disrespect. The first time, it means not waiting for people to meet you halfway when they're not even trying. It means being so secure in your energy that you'd rather be alone than in a connection that drains you. That's what makes you rare. That's what makes you powerful. That's what makes you untouchable. And yet detachment doesn't mean you're emotionless. It doesn't mean you stop loving, stop caring, or stop hoping. It means you love without clinging. You care without losing yourself. You hope without needing a specific outcome to be okay. You still feel deeply, but you no longer drown in those feelings. You hold them, you honor them, and then you release what isn't yours to carry. That's strength. That's emotional maturity. And that's the key to freedom. When you detach, You stop trying to save people who won't save themselves. You stop waiting for apologies you'll never get. You stop trying to rewrite the past or predict the future. You live here now in your power, in your clarity, and the peace that comes from that unshakable, because now you're not reacting from wounds, you're responding from wisdom. This transformation changes everything. Your standards rise, your circle gets smaller, your tolerance for games, drama, and emotional chaos drops to zero. You no longer entertain inconsistency just because you're lonely. You no longer compromise your values just to be liked. You no longer need to explain your worth to people who are blind to it. And as you level up, some people fall away. Let them. You're not becoming arrogant. You're becoming aligned. You're not becoming selfish. You're finally choosing yourself. This is the phase where you glow differently. You stop proving, chasing, and pleasing. You start resting, building, and attracting you. Move in silence. You protect your peace. You spend time with people who pour into you. You focus on growth, not gossip. And suddenly your life starts feeling less like survival and more like peace. That's the reward of detachment. But here's the twist. The moment you become unattainable is the moment they all start coming back. The people who ignored you now want to reconnect. The ones who mistreated you suddenly miss your energy. The ones who left you confused now need closure, but don't fall for it. Remember what it cost you to get here. Remember the nights you cried, the dignity you lost, the mental gymnastics you did trying to decode their mixed signals. Remember the price of their access, and remind yourself you're not the same person anymore. Detach not to punish others, but to free yourself. Detach not to appear strong, but because you finally are. Detach not to be heartless, but to protect your heart. You've come too far to shrink again, to tolerate what you used to explain what you no longer owe. Your silence now speaks louder than your explanations ever could. Your peace is louder than their chaos. Your stillness is your statement. You don't owe access to anyone who made you feel like a burden. You don't owe closure to people who gave you confusion. You don't owe kindness to people who disrespected your kindness. Detachment is reclaiming your energy from the places that couldn't honor it and becoming unattainable. That's simply the result of finally understanding your worth. So if you're in the process of detaching right now, keep going. It might feel lonely at first. You might miss the old patterns, the old comfort, the old familiarity. That's okay. You're not healing to go back. You're healing to move forward. And every day you choose peace over drama, clarity over chaos, dignity over desperation. You get closer to the life you were meant to live, one where you don't chase, you attract, one where you don't beg, you choose, one where you don't fear being alone, because you finally made peace with yourself. And when you reach that place, when your energy is no longer reactive, no longer desperate, no longer scattered, that's when people start wondering what changed. They'll think you've become colder, harsher, unreachable. But the truth is, you've become whole, and wholeness always looks threatening to those who benefit from your brokenness. So detach, breathe, reclaim your time, reclaim your boundaries, reclaim your identity, and watch how your life transforms. You don't need to explain your evolution to anyone. Just keep growing quietly, unapologetically. And when they ask what happened to you, smile and say, I finally stopped abandoning myself. If you felt this, then you're not alone. There's a quiet army of people out there, healing, rising, and reclaiming their peace. Be one of them. If this resonated, hit that subscribe button and join us for more content that gets to the heart of personal growth, emotional clarity, and inner power. You don't need permission to evolve, just the courage to begin. Until next time, stay grounded, stay clear, and never let anyone else define your worth.